Ifeoma sat on the edge of her bed, staring at the glittering engagement ring on her finger. It was beautiful gold with a small diamond in the center, but her heart was not at peace. She had always dreamed of marrying for love, but now she was rushing into marriage for a completely different reason. At 28, the pressure was unbearable. Her mother reminded her daily that she was getting old. A woman must marry at the right time, Mama always said. Don't let all these small girls snatch the good men away. Her aunties and neighbors didn't make it any easier. Each family gathering was the same. Ifeoma, when will we eat your rice? You are too picky. See your younger cousins, all married with children. Even her pastor had advised her to pray against the spirit of delay. So, when Kunle proposed after only 3 months of dating, Ifeoma said yes, even though something in her heart whispered that she was making a mistake. Kunle was wealthy and charming, the kind of man many women dreamed of. He drove a flashy car, dressed in expensive clothes, and took her to the best restaurants in Lagos. But beneath all the glitz, there were things she couldn't ignore. He never talked about his past, avoided deep conversations, and sometimes got angry over small issues. Once, she had playfully asked about his family, and his expression had changed instantly. Why are you asking unnecessary questions? He snapped. Let's focus on the future, not the past. It wasn't just that. He controlled everything. Where they went, what she wore, and even who she spoke to. When she mentioned visiting her childhood friend Ada, he frowned. Why do you need old friends when you have me? This is normal, her friend Said had told her. No man is perfect. Just marry him and enjoy your life. The wedding was in 2 weeks and everything was set. The venue, the caterers, the guest list. Her family was excited, her friends envied her, and her Instagram was filled with congratulations. But as Ifeoma lay in bed that night, she couldn't shake off the uneasy feeling in her chest. Was she really making the right choice? Ifeoma sat in the living room of Kunle's luxurious apartment, flipping through a bridal magazine. The wedding was just 10 days away and everything was moving so fast. Her mother had already traveled to the village to prepare for the traditional ceremony, and her friends were planning her bridal shower. Yet despite all the excitement around her, she felt a growing sense of unease. Kunle walked in, dressed in a crisp white shirt and navy trousers. What are you doing? He asked, glancing at the magazine in her hand. Just checking out wedding gown styles, she replied with a smile. Kunle frowned. I thought we already picked one. Why are you still looking at other options? Ifeoma hesitated. I just wanted to see more styles. Maybe I can make small adjustments. No need, he interrupted. I like the one you picked. It's perfect. His tone was final, and Ifeoma felt a familiar discomfort creep into her chest. Lately, Kunle had been making more and more decisions for her. What she should wear, who she should invite, even how she should speak in public. She had tried to convince herself that he was just being protective, that he only wanted the best for her. But then there were the moments that scared her. Last week, she had joked about how forgetful he was, playfully teasing him about misplacing his car keys. Instead of laughing it off, Kunle had slammed his fist on the table. I don't like jokes like that, he said coldly. Don't ever make fun of me again. The next day, he apologized, bringing her an expensive handbag as a gift. I just get stressed sometimes, he explained. I promise it won't happen again. Ifeoma had accepted the gift, but the fear lingered. Now, sitting in his living room, she watched as he scrolled through his phone, barely acknowledging her presence. She wanted to talk to someone, to express her doubts, but who would understand? Her mother would tell her to endure. Said would tell her she was overthinking things. Her thoughts were interrupted by the sound of Kunle's phone ringing. He glanced at the screen, his expression suddenly tense, and silenced the call. Who was that? Ifeoma asked casually. No one important, he said quickly. Why are you asking? She noticed how his jaw tightened. I was just curious. Kunle stood up. I don't like being questioned, Ifeoma. His voice was firm, his eyes dark with warning. Let's not start that nonsense in this marriage. A chill ran down her spine. Maybe she was imagining things. Maybe she was overreacting. Or maybe, just maybe, she was about to make the worst mistake of her life. Ifeoma sat in her car, gripping the steering wheel tightly. She had just left Kunle's apartment after another unsettling encounter. This time, it wasn't just his controlling behavior. It was the way he had grabbed her wrist when she refused to cancel dinner plans with Ada. His grip had been firm, almost painful, and his voice had been sharp. I don't like being disrespected, Ifeoma, he had said. I told you I don't want you hanging out with unnecessary people. Unnecessary people. Ada was her childhood friend, the one person who had always stood by her. But Kunle had slowly made her cut off most of her friends, claiming they were a bad influence. Now even Ada was becoming a problem to him. As she drove, her mind raced. Was she really willing to ignore these signs? Was this what marriage was supposed to feel like? Fear, anxiety, and doubt. Her phone buzzed. It was Ada. Babe, where are you? Ada's voice was warm but firm. We need to talk. Ifeoma hesitated, then sighed. I'm on my way to your place. 30 minutes later, she sat on Ada's couch, watching as her friend paced the room. Ifeoma, I've been quiet for too long, Ada began. I didn't want to interfere, but I can't keep silent anymore. Are you sure about Kunle? Ifeoma looked away. I don't know, she admitted softly. Ada sat beside her, taking her hand. I did some digging. Kunle was engaged before, twice. Ifeoma's head snapped up. What? Yes, the first woman called off the engagement, and the second one left him just weeks before the wedding. Ada paused, and both of them left for the same reason. He was abusive. Ifeoma's heart pounded. How do you know this? I spoke to someone who knows his ex-fiancée, the second one. She said Kunle changed after a few months. He became possessive, controlling, even violent. Ifeoma felt like the air had been knocked out of her lungs. She wanted to deny it, to believe that Ada was mistaken, but deep down she knew it made sense. She had seen the flashes of anger in his eyes, felt the coldness in his voice, and now it all added up. Ifeoma, Ada said gently, you don't have to go through with this wedding. Tears welled up in Ifeoma's eyes. She had been so blinded by the idea of marriage, by the pressure from her family and society, that she had ignored the warning signs. But now the truth was staring her in the face. The question was, would she have the courage to walk away? Ifeoma sat in her bedroom, staring blankly at the white lace wedding gown hanging on the wardrobe. It was beautiful, elegant, and exactly what she had dreamed of as a little girl. But now it felt like a trap. Ada's words echoed in her mind. Kunle was engaged before, twice, and both women left because he was abusive. She wanted to deny it. She wanted to believe that Kunle was just protective, that he loved her too much. But deep inside, she knew the truth. The way he controlled her, the way he silenced her questions, and the way his temper flared over small things. It was all there. Ifeoma picked up her phone and scrolled through her messages. Kunle had sent her a text an hour ago. I'm coming to see you tonight. We need to talk. A cold shiver ran down her spine. What did he want to talk about? Had he sensed her hesitation? She had been distant since she met Ada, barely answering his calls. He would know something was wrong. Her mother knocked on the door and entered. Ifeoma, my daughter, why do you look so sad? This is supposed to be the happiest time of your life. Ifeoma forced a smile. I'm just tired, Mama. Her mother sat beside her, adjusting her wrapper. My dear, I know marriage is a big step, but don't let fear stop you. You have found a good man, a rich man. Don't listen to people who want to destroy your happiness. Ifeoma's heart sank. If only her mother knew the truth. but she wouldn't understand. To her, marriage was a woman's greatest achievement, and backing out now would bring shame to the family. Later that evening, Kunle arrived. He was dressed in a black shirt and jeans, his expression unreadable. Ifeoma's heart pounded as she let him in. "Ifeoma," he said, sitting down, "what's wrong with you? You've been acting strange." She swallowed hard. "I've just been thinking." She hesitated. "Kunle, are we really making the right decision?" His jaw tightened. "What are you saying? I mean, maybe we're rushing things." His eyes darkened. "Who has been talking to you? That Ada girl?" Ifeoma's hands trembled. "Kunle, please." Before she could finish, he grabbed her wrist tightly. "I warned you about listening to people. Are you trying to embarrass me? Do you know how much I've spent on this wedding?" Tears burned in her eyes as fear gripped her chest. This was it, the moment of truth. Would she stay and face a future of pain, or would she gather the courage to walk away? Ifeoma's wrist ached under Kunle's grip, but the pain was nothing compared to the fear in her heart. His eyes burned with anger, his fingers digging into her skin as he glared at her. "You think you can just walk away from me?" he hissed. Tears welled up in her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. She took a deep breath, gathering every ounce of courage inside her. "Kunle, let go of me." He didn't move. Instead, his grip tightened. "After everything I've done for you, after all the money I've spent, you belong to me, Ifeoma. You're not going anywhere." That was it, the final proof. Kunle didn't love her. He wanted to own her. Summoning all her strength, she yanked her hand free and stepped back. "I am not your property, Kunle, and I will not marry you." For a moment, he just stared at her, stunned by her defiance. Then his expression changed to something darker. "You think you can humiliate me like this? You think you can call off the wedding and walk away without consequences?" Fear crept up Ifeoma's spine, but she refused to back down. "I don't care about the consequences. I would rather be alone than spend my life afraid of you." Kunle's nostrils flared, and for a terrifying second, she thought he might hit her. But before he could do anything, a voice rang out from the doorway. "I suggest you leave, Kunle." It was Ada. She stood there, arms crossed, her eyes filled with fire. And behind her was Ifeoma's uncle, her mother's elder brother, a man with a powerful presence. Kunle looked between them, his face twisting in rage. He knew he had lost. Without another word, he turned on his heels and stormed out. As soon as the door slammed shut, Ifeoma collapsed into Ada's arms, sobbing. Relief, fear, and exhaustion washed over her all at once. "You did it," Ada whispered. "You chose yourself." Ifeoma nodded, her chest heaving. "I almost made the biggest mistake of my life." Her uncle stepped forward and placed a hand on her shoulder. "You are strong, my daughter. You have saved yourself from a lifetime of pain." That night, as she lay in bed, Ifeoma felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. Peace. She had chosen herself. She had escaped. And she knew deep in her heart that she would never marry for the wrong reasons again.
This story teaches us that marriage should never be based on pressure, money, or fear. Ifeoma almost married Kunle because of societal expectations and financial stability, but she ignored the red flags in his behavior. Many people stay in toxic relationships because they fear what others will say or feel trapped by past investments. However, Ifeoma's decision to walk away shows that choosing peace and self-respect is more important than staying in a harmful situation. True love is built on mutual respect, not control or possession. Another important lesson is the value of listening to our instincts and the people who genuinely care about us. Ifeoma initially ignored Ada's warnings, but deep down, she knew something was wrong. Her eventual courage to leave proves that we should never silence our doubts or dismiss the concerns of loved ones who have our best interests at heart. Walking away from a bad relationship is not a failure. It is an act of strength. No one should feel forced to marry for the wrong reasons, because a lifetime of regret is far worse than temporary shame or disappointment. Thanks for watching. I hope you have learned something from this story. If you find this story useful, kindly show us some love by subscribing to this channel at Evergreen African Tales and press the notification bell so you don't miss a thing. Like and share. You can also share your thoughts in the comment section. See you soon